So, guys, I'm going to try and keep this brief because I'm not liking the way my computer or internet is behaving tonight generally. So I apologize if it skips and does that really annoying sound and some of that slow broadband. Um, but yeah, sorry for the belatedness of this review, but this is the Arsenal Villa review, and oops, it's happened again. Oh man, it made my Sunday. Considering I had quite a dead weekend, really, it was pretty quiet. Not really done that much this weekend, but it was definitely a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting it. Apologies for not doing a preview video, but you guys probably have seen from my other videos, I was not expecting us to finish above Tottenham. I had just about made peace with it in my head that we would have to just concede this season as the one season that we would finish behind Tottenham. And to be honest, if I'm being really truthful, I predominantly watched the Tottenham Newcastle game, particularly when I heard Newcastle were winning. I was like, well, fuck this Arsenal game, because the Arsenal game was kind of dull as well. You know, it ended up being 4-0, but for a long time it was 1-0. There wasn't really a lot happening. So doing a review of this match is going to be quite difficult. I've since then, obviously, being fortunate enough to have Sky, I've since then watched extended highlights of the game, or the Arsenal game that I've missed. So I'm going to try and review the team as much as possible, and really just give you my feedback in terms of how I felt we performed. In terms of the team, pleasant surprise that Wenger's blue-eyed boy was dropped to the bench in Ramsey. It started Kurzawa, which was a nice, pleasant surprise. Kurzawa was supposed to be on the left, but you didn't really see him that much on the left, which is to be expected. He's missed a lot of football, so it's all about just easing him back. Even though it's our last game of the season, I'm still easing back. Man's a 33-year-old man these days. Easing back. Overall, I thought we played okay. Not to say that the scoreline flatters us, it's just probably it flattered the circumstances, let's put it that way. Villa are just a really poor team, not just because they've been relegated, because as I'm about to come to, another relegated team showed that they're about something. But Villa are just a really poor team. So I was always quietly to fairly confident that we'd win that game. But it would have entirely surprised me if we drew that game. I was always quietly confident we'll get the result. Pretty much in control until maybe it was like the 15th minute where AU managed to get a fucking chance and fucked it up. And I just thought to myself, come the fuck on. Are we really going to let Villa cause us problems? And then a man I've been highly critical of this season popped up and scored. Did pretty well for the goal. Looking back at it, I was a bit harsh on my tweets. I didn't think he did that well for the hat-trick initially, was my initial reaction for the tweets. But I actually thought he played quite well during this game. I actually did. And good first goal, good solid first goal. And I was happy with his performance, with his contribution. The other omission I forgot to mention was El Nene was on the bench, and Coquelin was back in the starting lineup. So it was Coquelin and Wilshere, which is the person if you can't play Santi there, is the person I'd rather play with Coquelin if Coquelin's going to play. Coquelin, in my opinion, and funny enough, I've had this opinion for a long time, and I noticed it was very recently discussed on the Gooner Talk podcast, which I sometimes watch. Coquelin is the type of player. I think he's a good player. I would stop short of saying he's a top player, but I think he's a very good player. The thing about Coquelin that really pisses me off sometimes is his ability is very limited. I think the only person I can compare it to, as harsh as it seems, is Kante. Kante and Coquelin are the same damn age. They're both French. So I think it's fair enough to compare the two. Kante does not fuck around with stupid things like Hollywood passes. You know, he understands that Drinkwater is a better passer than him. Obviously, Mahrez is a better passer than him. People around him, Albright is a better passer than him. People around him are better passers than him. So all this motherfucker does is run, tackle, give the ball to someone else. And for a lot of last season, that is exactly the remit that Coquelin followed, particularly towards the back end of last season. He would tackle, give the ball to Santi. Santi, being the quarterback he is, boom, I'll put it on the plate for somebody. And that is the job, in my opinion, of a defensive midfielder. Just a no-nonsense defensive midfielder is someone who does their job and then leaves it to the rest. Where I feel he's suffered parts of the season is he's fallen into a bit of the Song mode. For me, Song started dropping in quality when he started getting a cess complex. Now, Song is a better passer of the ball than Coquelin is. But when Song started hitting these diagonal balls for Van Persie and really trying to get involved in the offensive part of the game, he lost a lot in the defensive side of the game. And he wasn't that great at the defensive side of the game in the first place. So it worries me because at different stages of the season, I've seen Coquelin try and add that to his game, trying to hit stupid passes to his game. And he doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to do that. You know, play to your strengths sometimes. All right, so you can't hit a Hollywood pass. So give it to someone who can. Like an El Nene. El Nene is a very good passer of the ball. Hit it to an El Nene. Hit it to the damn assist person himself, Ozil. Let him quarterback it. But when I see Coquelin striving forward and trying to hit these Hollywood passes, for me that irritates me to fuck. And he's done that one too many times this season. I've gone on a tangent because he started this game. And I know there's not a lot of people have talked about the fact that Coquelin has been dropped the last few games. I have, because I hate to see Ramsey there. But I noticed that in general, not a lot of people have talked about it, and I can understand that. But yeah, he played with Wilshere, and I thought we looked really good with those two. Actually, I really liked the feel of those two. I think that is the role that Wilshere should be. I don't buy this. He should be a number 10 thing. Wilshere is way too combative. And quite frankly, I don't think he is creative enough to play the number 10 role. But what I think he is very good at is that number 8 role. That motherfucker that sits right by the defensive midfielder. That quarterbacks, if you like. That I think he is very good at. Because he can pass the ball. He's not like a Gerald or anything, but he can pass the ball. But what he's also very good at is he's very good at dribbling and ghosting past players, which is another way of playing that role. It's a different way to a Santi. Santi is a dribbler too, but Santi is he's literally more of a quarterback. He'll grab the ball, boom, boom, or take it past one player, then boom. Whereas Jack is more of a ghost past motherfuckers. And that's how he gets injured. So I thought we looked really good in the middle. This is my really long-winded way of saying that. Santi, I thought, was pretty anonymous on the left, but I think he always was going to be. So it was a little bit of a shame that Rosicky didn't play. Guessing he must have been injured. But yeah, it was a solid lineup. To give brief player ratings for an end of game season, I thought Czech did okay. Didn't really have a lot to do. I give him a 7. I thought Bellerin was very, very good. Got an assist. I mean, it's against Villa. So the only chance Villa really had came on his side, which makes me think maybe I should mark him down a little bit. But in general, Belated for me, best right back in the league. 7.5. I thought Koscielny did well. 7. Gabs is still a little bit, for me, still a little bit. And AU rolled him a couple of times, which I didn't like. So I'd probably say 6 for Gabs. Monreal, he was in my fantasy football team. Such an underrated player. And when we're talking about, when I say there's 3 types of good players. There's a good player. There's 4 types of players. There's a good player. There's a very good player. There's a top player. There's a world-class player. For me, Monreal's a top player. I think he's not world-class, but what you're going to get from him is consistency all the time, every time, no questions asked. Got an assist. I thought was fantastic. I'd give him an 8. Left back, I really would. Defensive midfield, I thought Coquelin was a 7. I thought Jack was a 7. Sat in nicely with him. I thought Alexis caused problems. I thought he caused problems. I'll give him a 7. Santi on the left, I'd give him a 6, easing his way back in. Ozil got himself an assist. Was constant, trying to really trying to create something, Ozil. So, I mean, for that reason, I think you've got to give him 7.5. Really worried we'll lose in the summer. I'm really worried. And then Jury, listen, I've been very critical of him. But he got himself a hat-trick. Against all odds, he got himself a damn hat-trick. So for that reason, you've got to give him, you've got to give him a 9 for that reason. He got himself a hat-trick. And I thought he actually played well, to be fair. And then Arteta came on, and it wasn't a goal for him, but it was an own goal, but it was basically from Arteta's making. His shot kind of led to it. And it was a nice moment for him, For me, you won't hear me criticize Arteta too much because Arteta was one of my favourite non-Arsenal Premier League players. When he came into the club, I've always liked him as a player. He's just unlucky. He came in at a time when we needed a defensive midfielder, and for some deranged reason, Wenger turned him, an attacking midfielder, into a defensive midfielder. And shock fucking horror, the motherfucker lost legs and people started criticizing him. But I've always liked him as a player. Very, very classy, humble, kept himself in a very high regard. I'm not surprised people want him. I'm not surprised that he's turning out to be someone who people can someone who people feel like he can be a good coach. And I fully expect him to go to Man City. Not because he's not loyal to us, but because Wenger is not the type to have former players as coaches. Now, I understand I say that as someone who I know he's worked with Liam Brady, and I know he's currently working with Steve Bold. I get that. But generally, on the whole, I mean, if you talk to a lot of former Arsenal players, people like David Seaman, people like Tony Adams, Ian Wright, people who wanted to get involved in the club, see if they can help He shunned them all. But I don't know. Anyway, for me, I hope, because what the end of the match taught me was that the guy is a really beloved player. And I think it's important to have figures like that at the club. People who are beloved, people who the players will respect and listen to. And if it is a good coach, why the fuck not? Why not have another voice in there? But on the whole, game was all right. I think for me, the game that mattered was the Newcastle Spurs game, against all fucking odds, and with 10 men, relegated Newcastle with 10 men beat Spurs 5-1. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was crying in laughter when the fifth goal went in. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what on earth? How the fuck are you going to lose to a relegated team? And not only are you going to lose to a relegated team, you're going to lose by 5 goals to a 10-man relegated team. Oh my gosh, Spurs. Guys, this is why Arsenal fans laugh at you. Because of this shit. Just absolutely ridiculous. If on what many Arsenal fans consider our worst season, you still can't finish above us, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. I genuinely don't know what to tell you. You had your best season ever. We had one of our worst seasons ever. And we still finish above you motherfuckers. I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, that was funny. We got a belated St. Tottenham State. That was a nice moment. I'm probably going to do my end of season review probably tomorrow because I'm knackered. Haven't had the best of days at work, so quite frankly, I just want to get my head down and go to sleep. But yeah, sorry for the belatedness of this. And I did say it would be brief, and it's probably going into the 20th minute. So again, apologies for that. But do let me know what you guys think. Do comment. What do you think of the game? Do comment below. Do subscribe above. You can follow me at Colossal Chig on Twitter. The Twitter handle should be in the description. Do give me a follow. And yeah, just wait for me for a couple of days. And you'll get my end of season review. I don't know how I'm going to structure it. As per usual, these videos, I'm going to freestyle it. Just let me know what you think. All right, take care, guys. Peace.